And because it was so good being around her, it blinded me to the negative, toxic relationships I had in others around me who I loved. Genuinely, brotherly love. And some of them stabbed me in the back. And I thought about that this morning when I woke up. I was sitting in our morning room, looking at the glowing lights of the deer's eyeballs as they look over the cars that pass through. I'm thinking to myself, years ago, all my friends were hopefully trying to make it home about this time from the bars and the clubs. And I was up, reading, studying, looking at lines on a graph, and praying that these things were going to lead me to a lifestyle that I wouldn't regret not doing those things with them. Friends, listeners, this morning it hit me like a ton of bricks. I am so thankful that I didn't do those things. I don't have any regret not having done so. I don't have any regret for pruning all of the toxic relationships and friendships that were really not friendships. They were holding me back. I can be honest with you and tell you my high school best friend, Larry, who we're not friends with each other anymore. A lot of the things I did in my early trading career, I was trying to trade and make big money to impress him. It was stupid. It was dumb. You show him, hey man, look at this. I made $500 on corn. Corn? Yeah. It's $50 per cent. If it moves 10 cents, you need $500. I had one contract on. And to me, that was big money. That was more money than I was earning in a week at my job. He was like, man, that's pretty wild. Can you teach me how to do that? That's exactly what I wanted to hear. That's exactly what you want to hear when you tell your friends and family, look what I do. I made this. And you want them to say, wow, that was amazing. Can you teach me how to do that? I don't make enough money. If I had that, man, I could get that 5-liter GT Mustang. Because that's what he said back then. Until we sit down and we start looking at the charts. And then suddenly it requires a lot more thought, a lot more passion than simply saying, well, you know, that seems like the lottery scratch-offs. And if it works out consistently once in a while, you know, I could pay my dream car's car payment. That was the extent of my friend's perspective on trading. And because I kept going, and they were my friends, I drug them along. Now, some of them, honestly, you know, if they were being honest with you today, especially the ones that we're no longer friends with, if you ask them, you know, what's your opinion of Michael back then? Arrogant, conceited, self-centered, poser, like if you're a skater back in the late 80s, it comes to mind, doesn't it? Because I was trying to find myself. And I was living that montage moment every single day, trying to keep myself motivated because I had no motivation outside of that young lady that I met. So I started taking some inventory in friends and people that hung around me. And I started doing really well. And they were benefiting by being friends with me. Associates, more or less. And I started pruning them. Stopped returning their phone calls. Not returning their requests to hang out. Because when I would hang around them, I wouldn't feel good about myself. I felt like I was being used. And some of you right now might have that going on right now, and you're too afraid to prune it from your life. Because You don't want anybody to think that you're bad or you're not a good friend, when chances are you've probably been the better friend all along. You would probably bend over backwards to help the people that are around you that don't have any support structure for you, but you would gladly bend over backwards to do the same for them that you expect from them. The fact that you're pouring any amount of time and energy into improving yourself is a testimony that's really who you are. Some of you might say, I wouldn't do that. You would. If you have friends that you love, you would. But if the shoe's on the other foot, they wouldn't do the same for you. And unfortunately, I had friends, and I say that loosely, like that. And it became a deterrent to me doing well. It was influential in the sense that I wanted to do things just to rub their nose in it. Because some of them, albeit dating back to pre-K, I mean, it's before kindergarten, friends with them, and they would look at me cockeyed when I'd say, I'm going to make enough to buy a house, cash, in one trade. Now, saying that in 1993 didn't make any sense to anyone that I was raised as, Remember, I came from a place that no longer exists. It was referred to as Cardboard City, Villa Gardens. It literally was the lowest income housing, the cheapest building structure you could ever have. That's what ICT grew up in. So I tasted all of that poverty type stuff. I used to be on welfare. I had to go to the store and give food stamps to get milk and bread. And because I was raised on it, I wasn't embarrassed. I just figured that's how everything was. And as I grew up, my murder of crows, the part of the flock, the birds of a feather flock together, I was a little bit different. I was a little bit different. Slowly, I was the one that was the team captain everybody wanted to be on the side of. And I wasn't even good at sports. But I was influential. I would tell everybody when they had an idea, that's exactly what you should be doing right now. That's what I loved about Shannon, because that's who I wanted to be as a person. I wanted to be an encourager because I wanted to be reciprocated with other people around me. And I wanted to be around a murder of crows with like-minded goals, aspirations. Never have a limiting perspective. But I didn't have that in the murder of crows and friends I had growing up. I had doubters. I had lazy people, underachievers, dropouts from school, weed heads. And sad to say, a lot of them aren't even living anymore. Those that are have been married several different times, broken homes, in and out of jail several times. And you probably can relate. You know some people like that when you grew up with them. Now, not all of them are like that, mind you, but the majority of them are. And then ones that didn't do very well in life, they were the ones that doubted me most. And right now, you are in that August and everything after moment in your career. You're just now learning. You're just now tapping into, wow, this is an opportunity for me. I've never thought about doing this before. And you have other people around you that are basically your murder of crows. Like the expression is, birds of a feather flock together. And I didn't flock with them. They flocked with me. And as I gained more in financial stability, I could afford more things. My generosity allowed them to have the things that I was doing. When we went to the movies, I paid for everybody. Everything, drinks, popcorn, snacks, whatever. And after that, we went bowling, shooting pool, whatever we did, I paid for it. Now, in today's terms, it wasn't that much money. But back then, I was money bags. I was Rockefeller. And eventually I got to the point where I wanted to do that stuff because it made me feel better than them. Because they made me feel less than I really was. And that's how a toxic relationship is balanced. Instead of letting go, you stay attached to it. And that has a detrimental effect on you as a trader, because you're going to be thinking about external things as reasons to do something. Well, there really isn't a setup in the charts right now, but you know who I haven't really impressed in a long time? Kim. Yeah, Kim, I haven't seen her in about 7 years, but I just saw her on Facebook, and a friend request suggestion came up, and I bet you that would be a wonderful icebreaker. I said, hey girl, I ain't seen you in a while. Hope everything's good, but check this out. Look what I just did in high grade copper. What? Where are you? Where you been? And what are you talking to me about this for? It makes you do things and think things and act a way, and you really are uncharacteristically doing any other time, because you're trying to win the affection or respect of people that don't have that same opinion of you. And with the invitation of being on social media, you feel that impulse more than ever. I'm going to show that person. I'm going to show ICT that I've been really studying. I can't wait to go out there every single day and show him and everybody that follows him what I'm doing. I'm a member of the Murder of Crows of ICT, the cult, the horde. And probably, I'm no escaping this label, I could very well be influencing you, not directly, but indirectly, because you feel the need that you have to live up to some expectation that I didn't place on you. And you're going to be doing things outside of your model. Or before you even establish the model you're going to follow, you're just going to dabble here and there and hopefully be able to share something. And they're all wrong. Because you're trading for an emotional response. And the worst thing that can happen is if you get it, then you're going to subconsciously think to yourself, well, this is success. This is how I define success, because I did this, because I was motivated to get a response, get stimuli from people on social media, ICT himself, or haters of ICT. And it becomes a quest to do everything backwards, but justifying it before it even happens and along the way, and then rewarding yourself if it happens and calling that the right process. And it's not. Who's in your murder of crows? Who among your friends and family that you've been tight with up until this very moment, who are the ones that you really wish you had the courage to say, I just don't want to be around them anymore, and I'm going to politely excuse myself from their presence? You know who they are. It might be one. For others, it might be many. But I can tell you, if you're a young man, this is something you want to really put some thought into. Because when you hang around certain people, again, like the expression says, birds of a feather, it means they're all there on a common idea. They flock together. I like ICT concepts, but I don't like ICT. Well, there's a faction of people out there like that. There's a faction out there that there's maniacs, like everything. They want to know what my kitchen drawers look like and how my utilities and my house arranged and what's my circuit board and my everything for my house and what kind of interior do my cars have and what kind of underwear do I wear. And I'm not making things up. These are actual questions I get. Like, that's fanatic. That's unhealthy. Now, I get it. Don't get me wrong. In 1995, I thought to myself, I wonder what Larry Williams' house looks like inside. I wonder, does he have common furniture like everybody else would go and get, or does he have elaborate sculptures and things like that? Yeah, I guess in a way, it's human nature to think that kind of stuff, but we can take it to an extreme. But who in your murder of crows needs to fly off and not come back? You got to prune that. If you're in relationships, they're friends, and they're saying, nah, man, come on, you can go back. You can look at that stuff anytime. Let's go to the club. Let's blow all of our money that we worked all week for, trying to get a score with somebody that you don't even know, or what they're carrying, or if they're even worth being with. I'm going to go so far as to say this. Gentlemen, you're not finding your wife in the club. And ladies, you're not finding your husband in the club. But you are finding that right now moment that tells you you're worth something. They're attracted to me. Yeah, baby, look at me. Dressed to the nines. I'm on it tonight. Look at me. Everybody's going to recognize me tonight. But when you're trying to become a trader, you got to stop thinking like that entirely. You got to put walls up. You got to guard your mind. You got to keep outward stimuli away from you. Only letting in the good. You got to filter constantly, especially today. I don't think personally. No, I know, absolutely. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't think I would have been able to be who I am today if social media, as it is today, was like it is in 1992. Now, mind you, we had America Online. We had message boards. But sometimes you had to wait a whole day before somebody responded because everybody was in everybody else's message board. But right now, everyone has the power of the tongue by pressing some keys. And they can flatter you and tell you, you are amazing. Look at you. I want to be what you are right now. I wish I could attain what you have. I wish I could trade just like you. I wish I could trade as long as you hold your trades. I wish I could get in and get out like you. Your precision is unrivaled. And that same person that can have such a glowing comment about one person can turn around and tear the other person's throat out by saying, you are worthless scum. And I can tell you honestly, I'm like Teflon now. There ain't a person out there that can say anything to me and I'm going to get upset about it. Because I've arrived. I've been here for a long time. And it's a sport for me. But I could never have done that in 1992, 93, and 94. I would have been destroyed by the least of my trolls today, then. That's how fragile I was. I was frail, easily destroyed. I had no confidence. I had passion, I had drive. But my own friends, my murder of crows did not have any support structure for me. Think about who your murder of crows is on social media. Who do you hang around with? What influencers do you support? How do you behave around the other ones that is part of your clique, your flock, your murder of crows? Chances are, if you're honest, you probably think to yourself, you know what, I probably should have never said what I said. But I was just trying to get a rise out of one of my friends who said something about this person. And then they said it because you want to jump in and be a part of it too. Because, hey, the flock's got to stick together, right? Birds of a feather. And I put it off as a young man longer than I should have because I thought I was being a bad person. I was being an ugly person. When in reality, I was being an ugly person because I was around them. They motivated me to behave a certain way that is not characteristic of me. And because it gave me a rise out of people that I wanted to impress outside of my merger of crows, I kept doing it. I was getting a reward stimuli for doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. Kind of like drug addiction, right? Never done drugs in my life. Never drank alcohol to the point of inebriation. And I say that one because I did allow wine to touch my tongue and I spit it out because it tasted like rear end. I don't know how anybody can drink that stuff. I don't know, man. But to each their own. All I know is while I didn't do drugs, I was doing dopamine. As a 20-year-old, 21-year-old, 22-year-old, 23-year-old, 24-year-old, 25-year-old, my life was all about getting the stimuli from other people. What could I do today, materialistically, to get a rise out of other people? And none of it was ever worth it. Everything I built up in my mind that, hey, this is going to really knock their socks off. Well, now, I don't like this car. I only bought this car because everybody on the message board said this was the car that everybody needs to get. The ZR1. Nursery rhyme titled Counting Crows. And it says, one for sorrow. That's the first step in your development as a trader. You're sorrowful. You're not happy where you're at in life. You know you deserve more. You want more. You just don't have a direction to get into that frame of mind to get going. Because you don't want to waste time doing it wrong. But you end up wasting time worrying about doing it wrong. Instead of just starting, getting a baseline.